I'm sure I'll just read this over a little bit. Okay, let's begin. I have to be very careful. I didn't count the Omer tonight, so I have to make sure not to say. I have to be careful not to say it at night.
You stop it. We should get the face.
What?
We should stop the face. Stay serious.
Okay, here we go. So last week we started the Torah Memches. Torah Memches talks about a person entering into Avodas Hashem, and a person fighting for Avodas Hashem, not allowing anything to stop him. Someone told me this week that Memches stands, Os Memches is 48, Torah 48, but it also means Moach. The Moach is the brain, the Mochen. So some like to say, you're saying that in Breslov, but I like to say this Torah is the Mochen of Reb Yirmy Ginsberg. Nachman. I'm already in Reb Yirmy. It's the Mochen of Reb Nachman, because this Torah about fighting for Avodas Hashem, fighting strong, not allowing anything to stop him, that was what Reb Nachman told us to do. That's everything he told us to do, is to keep fighting and never stop him. As we'll see in a minute from the Shivchei Ran about Reb Nachman himself. So last week we ended off by saying that the Iker Nakuda is when a person starts his Avodas Hashem, and it seems like he's not getting you anywhere, and it seems like from Shemayim that Shemayim's not paying attention to him, Shemayim's even turning away from him, he's getting distanced from his Avodah. So the Iker Eitzah that Reb Nachman told us was don't pay any attention. Don't pay attention. Don't pay attention. Because the way we explained it was, at the end of the day, who cares? The Iker Avodah is to try. Results, that's up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Our Avodah is to try as hard as we can, based on our kochos, based on all the factors that are in our hands. Some people grew up extra frum. Some people grew up like this. Some people grew up like that. Some people they're really smart. Some people are not so smart. Some people have black hair. Some people have brown hair. Everybody's different.
Some people have no hair.
Some people have no hair, and that's also an Ikudah. So the Indian is to try your hardest. Like we said in the mashal of the Melech, the mashal of the king last week, that we said that the king told two of his servants, go fill up these buckets of water, and the buckets that the king gave them had holes in them. They didn't realize until they got to the water, and they started doing the buckets, and the water kept coming out. And so while one of the servants said, this is ridiculous, I'm not going to fill the buckets anymore, what's the point? The other servant said, what do you mean? The king said, fill the buckets, we fill the buckets, and no water comes in? No, we do what we can. So at the end of the day, we could explain the king praised the one who just filled the buckets all day, because at the end of the day, he followed the king's word. The king knew that he gave buckets that had holes in it. But yet, this servant was a real Eved of the king, and even if the results didn't come out the way he thought they should, the Hainu that didn't fill up any buckets, who cares? The king said, fill the buckets. That's what the king wanted. The king didn't need his water. The king wanted him to follow his word. So to Bais and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that our job is to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu and try our best to daven, try our best to learn chesed, tzedakah, shmir salosh, and shmir seinayim. Whatever the avodah is, we try our best. Be'em is be'emes. And that's it. And lo l'stakel klal, don't pay attention to the results. Don't pay attention to the ratings afterward. Don't pay attention to what the media says about how your avodah was. All the social media and all the chat room. How did he do? How did Yirmy do on this week's davening? Who cares? Who cares what the chat group say? Doesn't matter. Because I tried, and that's my vote. All that I feel that HaKadosh Baruch Hu not paying attention to me, that's all sheker, and it's all the Yitzhahara. It's not really HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right? Fine. So at the end of last week, we discussed how even Tzadikim had to go through this, their aliyahs, and then in the big nefilas, when they started Avodas Hashem, it was very difficult for them. But Rebbe Nachman said that they told us that the way that they overcame this was they didn't pay attention to the holes. They just kept going by till they didn't stop. That's what Rebbe Nachman said at the end. So I found in Shivchei Haran, I know I'm sorry those who out there don't have it, but I'll just pretty much translate. In Shivchei Haran, hey, towards, if you have it in the page here, in the middle of the page, the word Bahaya, both from top to bottom in the middle, right to left. Bahaya. Yeah?
Which one?
Oh, one second. Bahaya lo kama v'kama uliyas. Okay, it's a little bit higher. So I'm just going to pretty much translate it in English, so because they don't have it inside. So Rebbe Nosson is talking about Nachman, and he said Rebbe Nachman had many Aliyahs, and many Aliyahs he would go up and go down 1,000 times. There's no number of times that Rebbe Nachman fell. And he said it was very difficult and it was very heavy for him many times to start again as Avodas Hashem. Again and again. He would start again, like the beginning of our Torah. When a person starts his avodah, it doesn't just mean once in his life. It means again and again and again. In every inyan there's a new hachnas. In every madrega there's a new hachnas, a new entrance. And every single time and again he would makabel on himself, he would accept upon himself the yoke, the heavy yoke of avodas Hashem. And he says here, he was very accustomed to starting again many days in a row in his avodas Hashem. And then afterwards he would fall. And then he would fall again, and he would start again. And he would fall again. This is what Rebbe Nachman's whole life. Again and again, many, many times. Until one time he would strengthen himself, and he would be mechazik himself, and then he'd be able to start the avodas Hashem properly. And the lashon is, v'lo yistakel al shum davar ba'ol. Nachman did not pay attention to anything else in the world. He didn't care if people made fun of him, and he didn't care if it looked like his avodah was worthless, because he knew deep down it was worth something. He did not pay attention. He went weiter. Even though he had many, many Aliyahs in the readers. Not just us, simple people who fall again, and we try again. But tzaddikim, Rebbe Nachman, the biggest tzaddikim. We're made. There's Avis. There's testimony right here in Shifchei Haran, and many times throughout Shifchei Haran and Sichas Haran, and even Likutey Moharan itself. You see how many times Rebbe Nachman himself had to start again and start again and start again, but he kept going, and that's what made Rebbe Nachman, because he kept going. The ikar is right. We discussed that, and then Shifchei Haran Vov. Listen to this. He says. Rebbe Nachman would start again many times. Rebbe Nachman would fall from his level. He would not become despondent. He wouldn't despair. Rak Omer, he would say, I'm going to start again. I'm going to start again, so much so, I'm going to start again to the madriga that I feel like I never started before. And that's a very difficult thing. A person, he's working on, let's say, Shemona Esrei, and he's working on trying to say a bracha b'kavan. So he starts one bracha, and he's working on himself in two brachas, and let's say that he falls. So most people, okay, fine, but if they're not miyayish, I'll start again from the third bracha. Nachman Kilu would start again from the first bracha. Again, even stronger, because it's got to be new, it's got to be fresh. His chadshus. I don't want the old avoda. The old avoda didn't go. I have to start again fresh. Besimcha. We'll get to that in a few minutes. He would start again. Again and again. Always he would start again fresh. Even in one day he would start again the same avoda again and again and again. There are sometimes in one day he would fall many times from his avoda. Nevertheless he would start again fresh. So it is, the secret is, he would not pay attention to his falls. Who cares if he fell? Who cares? His avodah was to try. And that's what he did. Okay, let's go weiter. So Eitzah number one, Rebbe Nachman tells us, Eitzah number one, when a person enters into avodas Hashem, he wants to really try hard. Don't pay attention to the results. That doesn't matter. That's out. Now let's say you have a person where it's very difficult to get out of that result-oriented thinking. Especially America, I'm sure the whole world, very result-oriented. How much did you make at the end of the day? I don't care how many phone calls you made. How much money did you make? Like that whole way of thinking it totally takes over the whole world. So it's very difficult to get out of that mindset. So let's say we're still in that result-oriented mindset, okay? But now what do? We're trying in our avodas Hashem, and we keep falling. We're not attaining what we think we should attain. We're not accomplishing. We're not growing. So what do you do if you can't get out of just trying everything's okay? What do we do? So what we need to do is we need to retrain ourselves into understanding what does it mean to accomplish. When a person comes into avodas Hashem and he feels like he's being pushed very far, well, did he gain any ground at all, or did he gain none? Sometimes when a person enters into a vote, pick an avoda, any avoda, pick an avoda. Anybody? learning. What do you say? Daven. The person comes in, I'm going to have Kavanah and Shemona Esrei today. I'm going to be there in Shemona Esrei. So he starts the Shemona Esrei, Baruch Atah Hashem. He gets 3 words out, and then he's tired, he spaces out, he ends up in, Mongolia or something. I don't know. The oil wells in Mongolia. And then he's so upset about it. At the end of the day, he wakes up, I mowed him, he wakes up, he's like, oh my gosh, I did it again. I fell asleep during the whole davening. Again, I did it. And then he fell. He entered into avodah and he totally fell. So did he accomplish or did he not accomplish? So this person thinks, I'm not garnished. I'm a horrible person. I didn't do anything. I try every single day. But if you paid attention, I said something. He said, Baruch Atah Hashem, come on. He got the 3 words. That's a big accomplishment. Baruch Atah Hashem. That's a big accomplishment. Let me ask you a question. Let's say you have a child, right? A year and a half. A year and a half year old, crawling around, slowly starting, anybody with children would know, pulling himself up on the bookshelf, getting wobbling, and about to take their first step. Now, he gets like half the step the first time he tries, falls right down. Right? So what are we going to say? What's wrong with you? Get up. Why can't you walk already? You got up, so just walk already. What kind of tipesh would say such a thing to a little kid? Why would he expect his kid the first time to be able to get up and walk? He has to pull himself up 100 times. And then he has to have the confidence to then take that a little bit of that first step. Right? That's how a kid starts to walk, slowly but surely. The very fact that he got up was a huge accomplishment. You cannot get to walking if you don't first pull yourself up, then have the confidence to even try to take a step, and then take a little bit of a baby step, and then fall. And then get back up, and then start again. So what's considered accomplishment for this kid? When he gets to the walking, that's it? That's the only accomplishment? That's the only time that we can clap our hands, wow, you did it? No. Any mother knows that the first time he even pulls himself up under a bookcase, they're going crazy. They're going nuts that he got up. So why don't we make such a big deal that I said Baruch Atah Hashem with Kavanah? Who made up these rules about what it means or what the result has to be? Or what the accomplishment has to be in my avodah? Who made up these rules? Is there a handbook that says when you start davening, you have to know all Shemona Esrei? That you never could speak Lashon Hara ever, ever, ever? Of course, it's usher, but when I'm working on it, so I'm supposed to not speak ever again, cold turkey for the rest of my life. I'm working on my achila, and one time, I binged on the 7-layer cake, a little too much. So that's it? I'm a loser? Who made up these rules? See, even if we're a person who's result-oriented, and it's very hard for us not pay attention to any results and just try. We care about results. We care about accomplishment. But who made up what does it mean to accomplish? We need to retrain ourselves to appropriately judge where we're actually holding, and then to make the goal appropriate for what's normal. Just like the goal for the child is not to start walking the first time straight, just, here you go run. But the first time he's on a bike, here you go, 2-wheeler. You start with a tricycle for many, many days, weeks and months. And finally start to take the wheels off. And then still he falls down a few times. We don't expect that much from our children. You wouldn't expect yourself if you started a new job. You're gonna ace the job on the first day? No one expects that. There's a learning curve. The problem is that sometimes we expect too much of ourselves. It's for good reason. We want to be people who daven well. We want to be people who do all the mitzvahs with kavanah and the shema. All good expectations. But sometimes expectations hurt us. Be very careful. Yeah, that makes sense? So we'll see. Nachman's going to speak about this in a minute. We have to be very careful that when we start an avodah, don't just go into the avodah with the biggest goal in mind. Go into the avodah with the small baby steps. Small baby steps. And baby step after baby step, eventually the kid starts to walk. But we have to be confident. I'll just say one more thing. It's very hard. People become frustrated they want the avoda right now. Like a little child who's trying to walk, they get very frustrated. But what do you tell the kid? Slow down. It takes time. Whatever you tell your kids, tell yourself. We've said this a million times. Whatever you would tell your child, calm down, little one. It's going to be okay. Get up again. You're going to do it. You're going to do it. And the mother will say that 1,000 times. So, to yourself, you have to say that also. What's the difference? Just like our child is our child to me, we're the child to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, get up again. Don't worry about it. What, because if I fall in my avoda, there's a pagam and Hashem's covered? No. Adarabah. The fact that I got up again, that's the main cover to Hashem. That even though I fell, and even though it seems like I didn't accomplish, but I got up again, and I got up again, and I got up again. That's the most amazing cover that could. But we have to have confidence that sometimes people might look at us, right? We want to be, it comes from a place of gaiva, not a bad gaiva, but we want to be the people who look like we know how to daven Shemona Esrei. So we'll shuckle a lot and we'll pretend well, but we don't know any of it, and we're just pretending all the time because we're very, what's the word? We're very, we like to look good in the eyes of people. I know it's superficial. It's superficial, but we just want to conform to society. We want people to think we're good. That's how it is. We build our confidence based on the outside world, which is bad news. Because if a person builds his confidence based on the outside world, so then he's in a roller coaster of life. Some days yes, some days no. What do they think about me? What do they think about me? You're always wondering what everybody thinks about you, and then you're not even you anymore.
Based on the approval of the outside.
Based on the approval of that. Based on the approval of the outside world. That's how a lot of people do their avodas Hashem. It's totally lo lishma. And it's not just lo lishma, it doesn't even work. So this person means well, but he's putting himself into a position which is not going to work, and he's just going to become depressed. Person has to realize, I'm a cheluk elikam mal, I have a Kadosh Baruch Hu in me, mamish. Only I and a Kadosh Baruch Hu know where I am holding. And only I and a Kadosh Baruch Hu know that this baby step thing, the word Baruch Atah Hashem, that's my madrega right now. If that's all I could get to, that's great. And if you do that 10 times, 20 times with Kavanah and B'simcha, you'll get to Baruch Hashem, and you'll get the next word, and the next word. But B'simcha, with confidence. Confidence means HaKadosh Baruch Hu is right. What else do you need to know? I need the approval of this guy and that guy. What do I care about them? What shaykh is to me? I just need a Kadosh Baruch Hu. So says Rabbi Nachman, the last line on the page here, the second to last line on page 182 in the BRI edition. Hope everybody has it. If there's any questions, feel free to type them in, ask. And the person is very, very far from Hashem, and it appears to you, Sha'ata Pogim, the Nachman's talking to us. It appears to you. Sha'ata Pogim B'chol Shal Mamish Negri Yisbarach. So Nachman says, if it looks like to you that every moment of every day you're going against Hashem, you're blemished. Im kol zeh k'neged etez. It looks bad, you think it's bad? Let me tell you something. She'ish kazeh shemagushin kolka. This kind of person, you, who you think that you're so magushin, you're so materialistic, you're in a gashmistic world and you're not doing anything right. Listen very carefully to Nachman. Listen up. Kol tenua usunua shumenatek atzmo ma'at in gashim yuso. Any tiny movement you make to remove yourself, to cut yourself off a little bit, tiny bit, from the gashmis of the world, ufona, and you turn Hashem Yisbarach, kigedol v'yikar ma'od ma'od. Ooh, says Rabbi Nachman, how precious that is. Even the smallest, tiniest, minute avoda, a tiny bit turning away from something in gashmis in order to turn to Hashem, that's tremendous. The whole world feels that avoda. And it doesn't just mean don't eat that steak. Meaning turn away from gashmis meaning classic precious, classic abstinence. That's not exactly what he means. He does mean that it's very praiseworthy for a person to stay away from certain things in gashmis, balanced and well, guided to stay away from certain things in gashmis in order to grow in avodas Hashem. Certainly, and it's very important. But what he also means is that even when you're involved in Gashmias, cut yourself off from the Gashmias, Sheba Gashmias. Person has to eat supper, and his wife makes him a delicious supper. Delicious. So you're entering into this world of chicken and rice, whatever it is, and it's delicious. So you're entering into Gashmias. No one's telling you not to eat it. You should eat it. But when you're eating it, where's your mind? Nachman says you don't have to, your mind doesn't have to be in the fork. The fork goes in your mouth, but your mind can be on Hashem with a proper bracha, Rishona, with a proper bracha, Acharona. Not to be obsessed with the food, not to be running after like you're a Baal Taiva. Meaning, remove yourself from the Gashmias within the food and thank Hashem. Thank Hashem a little bit during the Suda. Put the fork down one time during the Suda. Eat all the food. Eat the dessert, eat the chicken, eat everything. But one time, put your fork down and say, "Oh, thank you, Lord, for this food." You know how big that's a tiny avoda. It takes 2 seconds. You know what that does? You do it again and again and again. Life changer. It's a life changer. You're taking the Kodesh Baruch and you're bringing him where he's supposed to be. Often a person is eating, he's doing an eating of Gashmias, and Hashem Ki'ilu is not there. It's not for one moment you think about it. Because your mind is in the meat and potatoes. But you bring the Kodesh Baruch in a tiny, tiny bit, it's a tremendous avodah. Not a tremendous avodah. So I feel in Nekuda Katana even a tiny Nekuda, says Nachman. A tiny, tiny Nekuda. You're cutting yourself from the Gashmias and you're going towards the Kodesh Baruch Hu. If a person does that, even a tiny avodah, who rots bezeh kama v'kama alofim parsos ba'olamos elyon. When you do a tiny avodah down here, when you remove yourself from a little tiny bit of Gashmias down here, in the upper world, you're running thousands of parsos, thousands of miles. I mean, you're doing a tremendous things as well. Don't downplay a small avodah. Even though it looks like in this world it's small, in a Kodesh Baruch Hu's eyes, in a Kodesh Baruch Hu's perspective, it's tremendous. Tremendous. Kasher Tovin hated min ha'maisa shel tzaddik. Like we understand, like he says, you understand from the story of the tzaddik shehizgaber lo ma'od ha'atzos. Like the tzaddik who overcame the depression, kamuva etzleinu. So in the note here, in note number 9, I don't know if you have it here. Number 9, he brings down the story. The story of the melancholy saint. He was depressed. There was a certain tzaddik who became depressed, and everywhere he turned, he couldn't get out of that depression. More atzos, more yish. It says, Rebbe Nachman in the story, I'm making it long story short. It's not so long, but I'm making it shorter. He couldn't find any way to be b'simcha. Every time he thought he found a way to be b'simcha, the Yetzer Hara came and put something in atzvos, threw him off, and became depressed. Nothing made him happy. Until finally what happened? The tzaddik said, you know what? Shalom was not good. HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't make me a good. He didn't make me a good. In that place, no matter how, even if I did low things, even if a person says, at the end of the day, he didn't make me a good. I mean, the lowest yid is infinitely greater than the biggest good. Because we have a neshama. The guy doesn't have a neshama. He has Opus, there's no question. You can't be alive if there's no Opus, but he doesn't have a holy neshama. So even the lowest yid has infinite madrigas higher than a god. So tzaddiks think, he said, wow, the chesed of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he didn't make me a god. No sadness can come from that. There was nothing that he could find that made him sad in that point. At the end of the day, I'm a yid. And from that place, he was able to be misamech, more things, little by little, very b'simcha. And he became very happy. To the point, he says over here on page 184, in the 4th line, I'll just read it here. Through this uplifting and joy, he was able to fly many miles in the supernal universes. When a person's b'simcha, he's flying. He's flying. He saw himself, and he was very far from the place where he had been originally. He's flying in the upper worlds. Eventually, joy came to an end, since joy has a limit. When joy begins to end, it ends little by little. Real spiritual simcha goes down slow. Gashmistika simcha, the second it's over, it's over. Ruchnistika simcha goes down slowly. The tzaddik therefore descended little by little, coming down from the place to which he had flown during his time of joy. He eventually returned to the place from which he had ascended. He came back into where he was thinking about this Shalom Asani good, that I wasn't made a good. He was very surprised, since he was in exactly the same place that he had been at first. He thought he flew 1,000 miles. Looking at himself, the tzaddik realized that he had not moved at all. Or if he had moved, it had been at most by a hair's breadth. He had moved so little that no one other than God could measure. The tzaddik was very surprised at this. Here he had flown so far through many universes, and at the same time he had not moved at all. This showed him how precious even the slightest movement is in God's eyes. When a person moves himself even a hair's breadth in this world, a little voda, removing yourself a little bit from Gashmis, trying a little bit in Shemona Esrei, trying a little bit more to learn, a tiny bit. In this world, it can be considered more than 1,000 miles of mistaken what it means to accomplish. We have to go back to understanding that when the kid pulls himself up for the first time on the bookcase, he went from a 0 crawling to a 1 standing up. That's a tremendous avoda. Just like we understand that with the child, and we have the right perspective on that, we have to have the right perspective in our own life and our own avoda. It's all totally in our mind. This tzaddik flew 1,000 miles in his mind. He was so besimcha, he was in the place of God. When you're in the place of Kadosh Baruch Hu, you can't. There's no number. Thousands of miles. He was flying. He went from his Atzvas Gehenim into Gan Eden, into the Olam Elyon. Flying, feeling so besimcha, he just wanted to dance. But in the physical world, he didn't move, because it's not totally in Maisa. It's totally in our mind. And if your mind tells you that what you accomplished is good, if your das is in the right place, Shalom Yisrael, then you've accomplished. But if your mind tells you that you're nothing until you get the whole Shemona Esrei, you're nothing until you light Shabbos licht with kavana and you're flying. There's some women that say mitzvahs for the women. That you want to light Shabbos with all the kavanas. If that's what it takes to be an Eved Hashem, then it's going to be a very difficult life. Because you're going to keep falling and falling and falling as long as you don't get it. But if you realize that you just do a little tiny bit, that's called accomplishing. That's called progressing. That a Kadosh Baruch Hu was clapping, all the malachim are so excited when you do this a little voda, because you know what they see? You know what the malachim see? And you know what Kadosh Baruch Hu sees? Not only did this person rip himself out of an olam hagashmis, a world of an alma d'shikr, a world of lies. Right? And this whole world of gashmis lies to us. Because the olam ha'emes is hiding. So everything that the world tells us, all the advertisements of the world, it's all lies. So the very fact that we're able to do a tiny little bit, that's huge, huge. And not only that, the malachim see. You know what the malachim see in the Kodesh Baruch Hu sees? They see the potential of you. That they see that when he takes one baby step, they see the second baby step. That's what they see. Oh, if he takes another one, amazing. And he takes another one, and another one. And if he falls down, so what? You didn't lose that first step. That first step is still in the baby's mind. It might take him a long time to get to the second. But every time he falls, it's one step in the right direction, no? It's one more step in the right direction. So the person has to get that clear in his mind. It's very important, very, very important. We live and we die in our das. But we're the ones who create our map of reality. Listen carefully. We create our map of reality. We shouldn't let anybody else create our map of reality, because then it's a downfall. Because then if I have to live to everybody's standards, you can't live that way. Cannot live that way. If the child thought that the parents want them to walk right away, he would never walk. It's only from the encouragement of the parents that every single time they took a baby step, they were clapping their hands and they were screaming and whistling. That's what got them to go. But every single time they say, boo, boo, you're not walking yet, he'll never walk. He won't want to walk, he'll never walk. In life, if you don't have a best friend who can encourage you, you have to be your biggest cheerleader. So that's it. Like Avraham Avinu, he was on his own. He was his biggest cheerleader every step of the way. He was mechazing himself again, again, again. Don't care about the world, just care about the Kadosh Baruch Hu and go right there. It says in Nachman, next page 186. He should rejoice very greatly on this and be b'simcha tamid. Ki atzvus mazak ma'od. Atzvus is the number one killer of a yid. Atzvus, depression, sadness is the number one killer. And it usually comes because of my own expectations, if not always. How often do you have after Shemona Esrei, the person comes over to you and says, you know what, Yirmy, Shemona Esrei was pretty bad. Never in my life has anybody come over to me and said such a thing. If I had a bad day in learning, I've never had a person come over to me and say, you know, you really stunk today. No one said that to me ever. That's called a gemilas chasadim. I've never had anybody say that to me. So why am I so depressed when I don't do well? Because I thought I should have done better. It's on my mind. I create my own atzvus. We're in control of our own reality. The koach eloki inside says, don't give up. What are you doing? Why are you so sad? Why did you tell yourself that you're such a bad guy? Who made that up? Who created these rules? Only I created my own rules. So that we have to be misboded. We have to think very deeply. Where am I holding? What is considered an accomplishment for me? Don't set the bar too high. The ultimate bar is in a year and 2 years from now. But right now, what's my goal right now? What's my goal today? Small avoda, but that's really a big result. Tiny avoda is really a big result. You gotta stay b'simcha. Ivdu es Hashem, b'simcha. B'simcha, if you switch around the letters, b'simcha is machshav. Because where is the simcha dependent on? My machshav, my thoughts, nothing else. Real simcha, not fake simcha. Real simcha is totally dependent on my own machshavas. And if my machshavas are in everybody else's minds, then I'm a lost cause. If my machshavas is in my own mind and me and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's it, then you're going to be a winner. Then you're going to be a winner. Immediately, listen to this carefully. Immediately, when a person enters into the Lord Hashem, as I take it immediately, he avera gedolo kishiyesh shel atzvus. It's an avera akola d'oraisa. It's an isur d'oraisa to become sad, to become ba'atzvus. Hashem says, be happy. If you're alive, you're what to be happy about. That's what Hashem's saying. If I have you alive today, if you wake up in the morning, you have enough to be happy about that you could smile the whole day. If you're not happy, that means you're being kofar on your hodah. You should be thanking, right? This is the week of Hod. Last week we spoke about Netzach. Now we're in Hod. If you're not happy the whole day, what's wrong? You're not appreciating Hashem for what I gave to you? What do you say in the morning? Modeh, it's a hodah. I thank you, Kadosh Baruch Hu, for giving my neshama back. Could you imagine we lived the whole day like that? Nothing else would bother us. He gave me my neshama back. I'm alive. So I tried this avodah and it didn't work. No, I'm alive. And tomorrow I'm alive again. And the next day I'm alive again. Sorry, it didn't go. No, I'm alive. We have to find simcha in the small things also. Again, just like our avodas Hashem, not to think that we're supposed to finish Shemona Esrei in 1 second. Also simcha. Who says we're supposed to every single second? Start with a little bit of simcha. And work from there. In this moment, be the simcha. It'll take us a very far way. Very, very far. One ounce of atzvus can destroy an entire day. Those who pay attention to their moods. 1 ounce of atzvus can throw us off the whole day. 1 ounce of simcha doesn't necessarily change our whole day because every single second is Yetzer Hara's trying to stop us. But 1 ounce of simcha, and another ounce of simcha, and another ounce of simcha, at a certain point, everything changes to simcha. You don't have to go to 100%. Once you get to 20, 30, 40%, HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes you the rest of the way, and then you have to become the simcha the rest of the day. So Nachman says you cannot become the atzvus. Chas v'sholom ki atzos is sitra achar. Atzos is the other side. It's the Yetzer Hara. Hashem Yisbarach sonei also. Hashem hates the sitra achar, hates the atzos. So therefore we can't give atzos. Ivdu as Hashem b'simcha. Kadosh Baruch Hu tells us in Parshas Kisava, one of the biggest aveilus is because we didn't serve him b'simcha. I want to end up very quickly because it's tied in tonight's the Hilul of Shem Baruch Chai, where everything started. All Zohar, everything that we learned from Baal Shem Tov and Nachman all came from the Rashi. And the Rebbe Nachman starts off. Well, really, Rebbe Nelson started off the whole Hakdama to Likutey Moharan is about Hashem Baruch Chai. Hashem Baruch Chai, the Gemara says that he had a machlokes of the tzaddikim. The tzaddikim said, "Look what's going on over here. There's a churban beis hamikdash. The tzaddikim are not like they once were. We're forgetting Torah. It looks as though Torah is going to be forgotten." That's what the tzaddikim said in Yavne after the churban. And Hashem Baruch Chai says, "Chas v'sholom, chas v'sholom, Torah will never be forgotten." Because the pasuk says, "Ki lo yishachach mipizar." Torah will never be forgotten from his children. So Nachman says, Rebbe Shimon is talking about his own sefer, the Sefer HaZohar. Because the Sefer HaZohar, in the Zohar itself, it says it's through this Sefer Dafka we're going to go to Geul. You're going to get to the redemption. So Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai said, "Ki lo yishachach mipizaro." He knew that Torah would never be forgotten because of his own sefer. And then Rebbe Nachman tells us, and some of the tzaddikim say, that in the pasuk, he lo yishachach mipizaro. This is in the Hakdama to Likutey Moharan. In that pasuk, ki lo yishachach mipizaro, the last letters of the words, ki is a yud, it's an aleph after the lo, then a ches and a yud and a vav, it's supposed to be yochai. Shimon bar yochai. When the pasuk says ki lo yishachach mipizaro, that the Torah will never be forgotten from his children, who's his children? The children of Yochai. Who's the child of Yochai? Shimon bar Yochai. So Nachman says. But I have two questions. Question number one, why did Rebbe Nelson put this as the Hakdama to all Likutey Moharan? Rebbe Nachman said this Torah towards the end of his life. Aleph. And Beis, how is Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai so confident? How is he so confident? All the tzaddikim, the role of the tzaddikim said, the role of the Tanoim said, Torah is going to be forgotten. Where did Rebbe Shimon get the confidence to say, no, absolutely not? How did he know? So tonight and tomorrow, for most people, for a lot of people in Klal Yisrael, the mourning period for the Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva is over. Right? The Gemara tells us in Vamos that Rabbi Akiva had 12,000 pairs of Talmidim, 12,000 pairs, 24,000 Talmidim. They all died between Pesach and Shavuos. Why? Everybody knows, because they didn't give kavod to each other. They weren't mechabed each other, they didn't respect each other. They were always trying to outdo the other one. All died. So what would be 12,000, 24,000 Talmidim of Akiva? The whole world, the Gemara says, was shomein, was desolate from Torah. Torah was over. That was it. The Yetzer Hara won. Sitra Achar won. Churban Beis Hamikdash, the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, and then Torah was destroyed. So we keep it by himself. The Gemara says there's nobody left. Over. What does the Gemara say next? The Akiva, then, what do you do? What would you do in that situation? My life's over. My life's work has been destroyed. That's it. I'm done. How old was Rebbe Akiva at that point? He's an older man. He only started learning when he was 40. And then he learned for 40 years and he was 80. Now and then he had Talmidim. So how old was he? It's over. Game over. That's it. I'll just do my own thing for the rest of the life. No. It looked like, what it looked like? It looked like Shemayim was pushing Rebbe Akiva away. A person enters into Avodas Hashem, sometimes you get pushed away. 12,000 pairs of Talmidim died. It looked like it was over, but what? The Gemara says no. Rebbe Akiva went to the Durham, to the south, and he found 5 new Talmidim. Rebbe Yehuda, Rebbe Yossi, Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai was one of these Talmidim. And from those 5, the world flourished with Torah. And we're still around today learning Torah because of those 5 Talmidim. So you know why Reb Shimon was so confident? Because he saw the world desolate of Torah and it wasn't destroyed. Because he was that person who brought Torah back to the world. He was the living embodiment of Ki lo sishachach mipizar. That the Torah cannot be forgotten. Harai, the proof is me. So Reb Shimon Bar. Because my Rebbe, Reb Yirmy, did not give up. And he taught me and my 4 friends, my 4 chaverim, and look who came out. The whole world came out from this. The whole world of Torah. That's why Rebbe Nelson put this as the Hakdama. The Hakdama of Likutey Moharan. Because this is the Torah that we have to live with. Reb Shimon Bar never gave up. He had to run away from the Romans, we know. 13 years living in a cave. 13 years, can you imagine? With his son living in a cave with just water and carrots. But out of that cave came the Zohar. Out of that cave came Sodas HaTorah. Out of that cave came Chochmas Emes. Out of that cave came Arizal, Baal Shem Tov, Rebbe Nachman. We should be Zocher, Mitz Hashem, on this, in the Hilu of the Hashem Bar Chai. The fire of Rashbi is still burning. It might be now the fire of Rebbe Nachman. It could be the fire of the Baal Shem. But that fire of Chassidus, the fire of Torah's Emes, of Chochmas Emes, is still burning within the world and within our hearts. We should be able to learn it and to live it. And we should be able to come back next week and continue. Sure. And everyone wants to go to a here now.
I want to.